Kraken. And Kraken is on because of her. She's the number one fan of our guest today, Dr. Luc. And I just wanted to get her on because of how much she adores their friendship. So, why do you enjoy Dr. Luc so much?
Because he has a great pupper and he's a nice man.
Yeah, he's a great man, is he? And what do you want Luc to do today? What is the first thing that you ask him to do?
I would ask him to do his challenges. And
yeah, he has to go through his challenges, and we're going to have him tell us on how he overcame them.
Yeah.
What should maybe he can talk a little bit about himself first?
Yes.
So when you go see him, you say, "Hey, Luc, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Tell us a little bit about you."
Hey, Luc, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you did a good job introducing me. Usually my dog Root comes first, and then people ask me about me. So that's generally how it starts. My name is Luc Mahler. I also live in Ottawa. I currently live with my girlfriend, our 2 dogs, and our 2 cats. So Laurie called it a farm, but we prefer the term zoo. But it's a lot of fun. I run a chiro sports-related clinic in the Glebe, and our big goal is always to empower our patients to take control of our health. And so I guess I was pretty lucky because that's how Laurie and I met, is professionally, and we were lucky enough to blossom a friendship out of that professional relationship as well. And that's how I met Kraken. It's also a package deal and pretty cool. When I am not at work or working, I spend a lot of time riding my bike, ski in the winter, hang out with friends. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. And just to divulge some patient information of myself, I've been going for you with a lot of what was my past neck issues and neck and back issues and my wrist issues, purely because of maybe the how I worked and my poor choices in where I would work in the house. And since I actually listened to your advisement and adhered to your treatment plan, things magically got better. Or not so magically, but following through with it. And what I appreciate about you do your magical Dr. Luc hands work with the chiropractic, but you have your patients leave with a treatment plan too, with different exercises and different pieces of information. That's just a bit that I want to stick there, because all too well that you get to see a professional, but if you don't follow through in between those visits, you're just going to end up re-damaging the areas that you worked so hard to get better.
Correct.
So, buddy, why don't you ask Luc about his challenges?
Luc, what are your talents?
What?
Luc, what's your challenges?
What kind of challenges he wants to talk about today?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I'll start with the one we're already talking about. I guess running the clinic is a continual challenge that is an amazing roller coaster, an adventure that, you just don't know what's going to come next, and that's kind of what's cool. Obviously, there's a plan and there's an evolution, but I don't know who said it, but every plan is amazing till someone throws the first punch, or however they put that. That's paraphrasing, so don't quote my quote, but basically, plans are great to create an idea, but beyond that, you've got to learn to adapt and be malleable. And I always say that my business is the biggest continual learning experience I've ever had, and I did a boatload of school, so that's included. And I think that if it ever stops being a learning experience, that'll be when it's time to move on to something new. So yeah, what's really cool, I guess, about this business is that you get to mess up and you get to learn that failure isn't actually a bad thing, and that you mess up, you figure it out, and you move forward. So I think a lot of people should actually not a lot of people, I think everyone should take a chance on doing something they love, especially when they don't have to necessarily worry about, I don't have a significant someone to take care of, like a child. So I think it was an amazing opportunity to take take a chance, take a risk, to mess up continually and to figure it out as we go, to evolve and to learn, and to do it kind of the way I wanted to do it. I saw a chance to kind of push the way a lot of practitioners were practicing, and change it up, and take a chance. And so that means we have a lot of education to do, but I think that's where the magic happens, is in the education piece. Like you said, you did a great job, Laurie. You did a great job explaining kind of the philosophy behind the clinic. And you know, when our patients start to get it, start to see that, yes, the hands-on stuff is wonderful, and it can really get you out of short-term pain quickly. But the real value in what we do is in the long-term treatment plan, and the education at home, the not sitting on your couch all day to do work. Yeah. You know, the things that really matter in your day-to-day, because, you know, you come see us at the clinic and you're here maybe twice a week max, for a total of an hour in your week. So what you do outside of that really matters. And that's not to just sales pitch this clinic, but back to the question about challenges. You know, I get to learn all sorts of new skills that I didn't have, accounting, bookkeeping, that kind of stuff. I still don't have them, if you ask my bookkeeper. But I'm learning, and I'm getting better, and I'm getting better at building processes, and streamlining things, and prioritizing, and organizing weeks so that I still have free time to do the things I want, because ultimately I think it's easy to get lost in the business trap, where you're just continually doing stuff for your business and not taking time for yourself. And we do try and practice what we preach here about self-care, and all of the things that go into feeling better, mental health included. So, you know, this business continues to teach me those skills, and I think it's a really cool opportunity. That's why I think people should take a chance, whether it's your own business or the dream job that is out there. Take the chance, because I think that at worst you'll be right where you left off. At best, you'll have come out of it with an amazing experience and some opportunity. It was funny. I was you know, I got lost down the Instagram hole last night, and the guy that made Quest bars, Tom Bilyeu, has a bunch of great content on the internet, not related to Quest bar at all, but related to personal development and all that kind of stuff. And he was talking about this in a much more succinct way than I could. And he mentioned that, you know, take that chance early, because you make money and it's only good for one time, right? If I spend $1, it's gone, and that dollar is gone forever. But if you make connections, education, and experience, you can cash that check over and over and over again. And so I thought that was a great summary, and a much more succinct way to say that taking a chance on an opportunity that pushes your boundaries is never a bad thing.
I love
Yeah, thanks. So that was number one. Number two is basically the year 2018, but it gets a little more in depth. So I started this business in 2017 in the fall. In 2018, March 15th, actually, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And everyone says, oh, that really sucks. But honestly, it wasn't that big a deal for me. It was a bigger deal for my doctor than it was for me, which maybe should have been a wake-up call for me. But part of the reason I knew it wasn't something that had to control my life or limit my life was that there's a professional cycling team out there that races at the highest level of the sport, and they're all type 1 diabetics. And so I'm like, well, if these guys can do it, there's no reason that I can't. You know, it was a cruel and unusual trick, because I'm not a big needle fan, and I get to do lots of needle injections daily. But beyond just learning to, again, plan a little better, you know, bring the right food and bring the right stuff with you. My day-to-day, my big goal of diabetes was my day-to-day not changing. And I accomplished that pretty well for a couple months. And then the proverbial stuff hit the fan, and I got diagnosed eventually with what they call treatment-induced neuropathy. So basically my nerves just went crazy. Once my blood sugar came back under control, my nerves didn't adapt well. And so often diabetics get neuropathies from having blood sugar too high. But the theory with this is that the exact opposite happened. When my blood sugar came back down, the nerves didn't adapt. And so slowly but surely, things were starting to get taken away from me that as a 31-ish-year-old person at that time, I was not ready and not able to kind of process losing. So I got massive loss of appetite, lost weight that I couldn't afford to lose. Like I was already pretty thin, so I got extra thin. I was back below my lightest weight when I was actually racing a bike, and I wasn't trying, so never a good thing. I wasn't able to sleep. By the end of it, I was sleeping maybe 4 hours total a night, kind of intermittently. I could barely walk. When I was in the clinic, I was walking barefoot because having shoes on was not good. When I drive home, and it was a 20-minute drive, if I ever hit traffic, I was panicking because my feet were starting to cramp. My poor puppy couldn't walk around the block, or I couldn't walk her around the block because of the problem with my feet. By the end of the day, I just wanted to be naked, and not because being naked is fun. I just didn't want to have any clothes on me, period, because my skin just felt super weird. Anyway, so everything was changing, and not in a good way. And I had what felt like zero control and very little answers for a solid 2.5, 3 months. My mom, who is an amazing person, she was living in the Yukon at the time. She booked a flight over the weekend and drove back. Jesus, you're gonna get me all choked up about my mom.
She's an
So
incredible
she took care of me for a solid 2 months, and basically saved not my clinic, or sorry, definitely my clinic. But yeah, so that was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
we watched Downton Abbey all summer. That was literally my summer, was Downton Abbey with my mom on my couch, which was not ideal at 31. It's awesome when mom makes you meals, but not every day, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that was pretty wild. And I don't really know how to best summarize overcoming it, other than you get up every day and you just keep going. Yeah. And then
I think another thing too that you just stated with your mom, leaning in on those people that, you know, obviously love you and willing to completely overhaul their life to step in and help you, and being able to obviously show how much it means to you by the emotional feelings that you're having right now. So that's one huge thing that I had to do as well, is being able to lean on those people that I can trust, because you're not going to lean in on somebody that you don't know or that you don't think that would be able to handle it. And being, obviously your mom showed up and helped you do what you need to do to get through those couple months, and it's incredible and such a rare thing, even if you're super close to your kid, being able to step in like that and overhaul everything to be there. I think that's insanely awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like we had a pretty close relationship beforehand. Obviously, this significantly changed it in a really good way. She put up with a lot of my crap. I was a not happy human at that point in my life, for sure, battling some mental issues. Because I'm such an active person and I could do basically nothing that I wanted to do. Like there was a point where I couldn't even ride my bike for an hour, which is like an hour easy on the paths, which is kind of, it should be very routine for the amount of bike riding I do. Yeah, so you lose, you know, it gave me a whole new appreciation for chronic pain and chronic conditions, because you lose beyond the physical capacities that you lose your circle of friends, right? Like my friends and I, we go for bike rides and we stop at a brewery, stop at a coffee shop. I'm not going to drive to Carp to go have a coffee with my buddies that rode there, right? Like it's just not a realistic thing. And it's not like my friends deserted me by any means. They continually checked in, and I've got an amazing group of friends that were extremely supportive. It's just different lives, right? So yeah, that kind of chronic pain issue is such a wild one, because you just don't realize when things just slowly get eroded out of your life, and then you know you're sitting on your couch going like, what am I going to do on a Friday night when my buddies are out? So yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of like how to overcome that, I think you nailed it with leaning on the people that you give permission to lean on. But like at some point, you got to check your ego, right? Like my mom just finally said, "I'm coming," and when when you're not in a spot to say no, that person just comes through for you, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you ask for help, and sometimes it's just presented to you, and you just got to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think overcoming is partially just kind of grabbing on to the lessons that are learned and taking those forward, because I don't know, like you can get really kind of metaphysical with it, but at the end of the day, if you do nothing with an experience that's that shitty, pardon my French, if you do nothing with it, then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Like move forward, learn from it, grow from it, and then I don't know, use it in opportunities like this to teach something to someone, maybe, hopefully. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you are able to, and that's one of the things that we teach Casey on a regular daily basis, that it's okay to screw up. It's okay to be a human. I think I told you that is that one of the ways I say like failing forward is, oh, I humaned means I made a mistake, right? And
Yeah.
that's one thing that Casey is being accepting too about herself, is that she is used to getting things right, and most of the time the first time right. So when she slips up, she's like, ah, and there could be that feeling of feeling down about herself. But she's learned, she's like, I humaned, and then
Yeah.
she knows to practice going a different way or a different behavior, and that's the central thing about the life, like a human experience, is to screw up and or to live like a tragic life, like a crisis situation, and taken away from such a shoddy situation, and what you can do next time. So we really appreciate the input and the experiences and the stories. And I think this is one of my favorite episodes so far.
Yeah, good. If I can add one thing to the whole failing thing, it's one of the things that I look back on my schooling, but just kind of schooling education in general, is that we're not teaching kids to be able to fail, right? Like that's never, and it shouldn't be the goal. Obviously, failure is not the goal, but it shouldn't be looked at as a negative, and it's always looked at as a negative, right? Like you get an F, you messed up. And it's not an opportunity to be like, okay, you got an F. Yes, the questions on the test didn't go well for you. Here are all the things you can learn. At least it wasn't my experience. It was like, you got an F. What did you do? Right? So it wasn't a chance to get better and to learn. And we never kind of took the chance to really build on that. Instead, it was like, look at that guy. He got an A, be more like him. And you're like, man, I can't. That guy's so good at algebra and I'm terrible at it. Like, anyway, so I think it's a powerful message that you guys are teaching, Casey, and I continue to teach it, because we got to look at failure as an opportunity, not as a burden.
Yeah, that's something too that we all, because Casey with her ADHD, me with the mood disorder and anxiety, I was maybe at my best when I actually tried a C+ student in school. And then in college, I got a little bit better before the eating disorder. But I mean, I didn't learn how I learned best until in my 30s when I sobered up. And then Casey's learning the same thing too. Like, for instance, her typing, she's excelled so much in the last couple months since she's been off. And it just shows we all learn in different ways. And like you said, our system is set up in a way that it's kind of cookie cutter, and that's the best they can do. And there's only so much, the teachers and everybody can do for the system, but it's still set up in a way where you're comparing oranges and apples to brains sometimes. So, Casey's brilliant apple brain works differently than my orange brain. So
yeah. No, and it's not a knock on teachers. The mother that I just ranted and raved about is and was an educator, a teacher throughout my whole childhood and her whole career. And so I know how hard they work and how much they care about each student. But when you've only got, so many hours in a day and so many kids in class, and that number keeps going up, there's just less time. And like you said, there's a curriculum to teach. And so,
you're given a certain amount of tools with up to, Casey went from a classroom of 20, now she's close to a classroom of 30. And like you said, there's only a finite amount of people that can be in the classroom helping out. So definitely, I greatly appreciated her teacher this year, and Casey coming back home, as much as we love her, like, okay, so that gift certificate for like holidays and birthdays and stuff to the teachers just went up a little bit. What?
Yeah. The tip options is going up.
Exactly. It went from like 20% to 40 or to 50.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone in that boat from interactions I've had during the COVID situation. I think there's a whole new appreciation for what teachers do on a daily basis and what they get to navigate.
Navigate, that's a good word.
Thanks. Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to say about what Luke said?
I don't know.
No? Do you think that Luke is right about like the teaching process? And,
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
And do you agree with him about failing forward?
Yep.
Is there anything you want to discuss about the orange apples and the apple brains?
Yep.
Yep. There's stuff you want to discuss, or no? You just agree with everything?
I agree with this.
Okay. Excellent. Do you want to ask him the end question about one daily or the thing that he does daily?
What do you do daily to make your life?
To live a healthy lifestyle?
I know what to say.
Okay, sorry. I'm all step back.
It's like Don Cherry and Ron McLean over there.
Apparently. She's the Dawn for sure.
Yeah.
Most style. All right, do you want to try without me butting in?
Yes.
Okay.
What's one thing that you do daily to make your life to do a healthy life?
There you go. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. I think it's this self-help culture is in full force. And that's not a bad thing, but it's really hard sometimes. Well, I shouldn't say it's really hard. It's really easy to get caught up in the like Instagram posts where someone's got listed the 17 things they do in the morning. You're like, man, like, is your morning till 7:00 at night? Because I don't know how you get all that done. And so I've tried a bunch of them. I've come back to, you asked for one. I'm probably going to give you more than one because sorry. So there's been a few of them. Exercise is massive for me. I'm not a 7-day-a-week guy most times, but somewhere in this 5 to 6 days a week, I do some form of exercise. I'm just a better human when I do that. I like to say that I either do my best thinking or no thinking at all, depending on what I need. So exercise is a big one. The one that I started probably about 6 months ago now is a cold shower. And there's a bunch of, it's not fully cold. Like I start it warm. I'd probably do it the softest way possible. So I start it warm and then turn it cold right at the end and just kind of sit there for, I don't know, a minute maybe. And there's a lot of research about the scientific benefits and all that stuff. And I'm sure that that research is sound and it's important. But for me, someone described it as proving to yourself that you can do the stuff you don't want to do. And like, that's a great way to do it. And then they also described it as better than any cup of coffee they've ever had. And I would agree with both of those statements. It's important to prove yourself that you can overcome that feeling of not wanting to do it, because warm showers just are better. So that minute just gives me that time to prove to myself that I can do that. And then I focus on, diaphragmatic breathing and all that good stuff. It just kind of, it's like a short course, I don't know, mindfulness practice, I guess the best way to put it. And then the third one, because 3 equals 1, that I started doing even more recently is kind of just, I don't know, free-form journaling or something. I just write my thoughts down at the end of the day. Yeah. Rebecca's parents for Christmas got me this like old person neuropathy treatment thing for my feet. And it worked really well because I still had some mild foot stuff that was bugging me every once in a while. So this thing's a half an hour process and I'm stuck seated for half an hour. And so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of explore journaling. And, again, there's a bunch of great kind of like how-tos out there and stuff, but I just started writing stuff down. Some days it's mediocre, some days it's absolutely atrocious, and some days I write like 3 words down and I'm like, that's good enough. But it's really helped me flesh out some ideas, flesh out some feelings, flesh out just kind of whatever's floating through my head. Yeah, and it continues to evolve. On Sundays, I do a bit of a different, where it's not just my ideas, it's like, what do I need to get done for the week? And then I've got those split into 3 different compartments, 3 different tiers of kind of goals I want to accomplish for the week and yada yada. But yeah, so most of the time it's just whatever I've got going on. Sometimes it's a little more structured, but it's good to get thoughts on paper.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. Is there anything you want to say to Luke? Just say thank you, or
thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Definitely. And Luke, is there anything else you want to say to the audience today?
No, I mean, nothing to the audience per se. I'd like to thank you, Laurie, for putting yourself out there, for putting your story out there. I think I've told you this a few times off air to try and kind of prompt you to continue your journey to this point. But I think you've got a story that's worth telling, and a story that resonates or can resonate with a lot of people. And for that reason, thanks for putting yourself out there.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you. And thank you. All the thank yous.
Yeah.
This is a Canadian show.
Yeah. Sorry. No, thank you.
I'm sorry that I say thank you too much.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, thank you everybody for watching today. And we'll talk to you soon. Say bye to Luke.
Bye.
You gonna say bye to Rue?
Bye, Rue.
Bye, Rue.
She's passed out.
She's like, I'm busy. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.